We are live with Ray and Terry Franchise Insiders live with a special guest this afternoon. Ray, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Terry. Living the dream. You?
I am living the dream. You took the thought right out of my head. Kelly, how are you today?
Really great. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. I've been looking forward to this.
Absolutely. We're going to introduce Kelly formally in a minute. Right now, we want to welcome everybody that's joining us from around the country. There are a lot of people in the waiting room today. Ray's letting everybody in. So thank you for
Can't keep up.
joining us. Yeah. Add to the chat stream where you're from today so we can see what market you're in, what time zone you're in. It's noon in the East. Welcome and good morning to everybody, Central, Mountain, and Pacific that's joining us. We're really glad you're here. This is the Franchise Insiders with Ray and Terry and Kelly today. We are franchise consultants. Kelly, tell everybody what a franchise consultant is and what a franchise consultant does.
Absolutely. So, as franchise consultants, we work with aspiring entrepreneurs to help them investigate potential concepts that fit what they're looking for and also decide if franchising is the right route for them. So, maybe it's not, but that's our job. So, we work as mentors and coaches to supply resources, answer questions, and then obviously introduce them to what we feel would be their best fit.
Absolutely. Kelly is a certified Hire Your Best Boss coach. She is powered by Fran Choice, like Ray and I are, and she's absolutely awesome. She came away with a couple concepts from Houston, which is where we were, that she wanted to talk about specifically today. So that's what we're going to talk about. Franchise companies that will disrupt their industries in 2025. But before we do that, we want to give you some resources. I just mentioned hireyourbestboss.com. That is our learning community. If you have questions about franchising, you'll see about 50 videos on that site. We were writing out answers to people's questions on LinkedIn about franchising, and Ray called me one day and he said, "Wow, these answers are really long." And I said, "Yeah, they can be. There are no short answers in franchising, right?" And Ray said, "Hey, let's do some videos." He said, "You give your video answer, I'll give mine, and we'll send them to people." And so we did. And then it got traction. We put it in our newsfeed and people really liked it. So we put it up on that URL. You can find our roadmap series on hireyourbestboss.com. 20 plus videos on the soup to nuts of a professional franchise investigation. What steps do you go through when you go through a professional investigation? So you can take a look there. Ray, where do we have people coming in from around the country today?
Terry, we have them coming in from all over the United States right now. We have it East Coast stretching from New York, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. We've got it coming from everywhere. Middle of the country looks like we have Nashville. We have, oh my goodness, we're all over. Ohio. We have going down into Alabama. Okay, and out west we have some people coming in right at work time, right at 9. So we have Oregon, Washington, California. Our heart goes out to everybody in California, by the way.
Yes, heart goes out to all the people in
Great.
LA.
We're all Arizona just jumped in. So we have a lot of people from different places coming in. So thanks everybody for joining. We very much appreciate it.
All right, if you'd like to book a Q&A call with us, you will see that appear in the chat stream. So we do Q&A calls. That Q&A stands for question and answer. So if you're curious about franchising, just ask us questions directly. Schedule a one-on-one with us. We'll answer all of your questions. If there's something you hear particularly that you want to investigate, grab some time on our calendars. We'll walk you through that particular concept. We'll show you how to conduct a professional franchise investigation. All right, Ray, would you like to introduce Kelly formally?
Kelly formally,
Ah,
absolutely. And
so
we're gonna embarrass Kelly a little bit, but we've known Kelly for a few
Oh, we're
years.
not going to sing, are we?
We're not gonna,
I
Kelly
think
may sing, but we're not going to sing. And that's because everybody on the call would much appreciate the decision.
that's it.
We know that we've seen Kelly grow in the industry over the years, and recruited her, and she was recruited over to Franchoice because we think we're the best and we only want the best. And Kelly has not only met the expectations, she's exceeded them. And she has been working with us. This is in her first rodeo in Hire Your Best Boss. She has been working with us and contributing to help people go forward. So we're working with Kelly, and Kelly's been incredibly helpful with different industries and with her unique perspective to help people understand the process. It's not the sales, but the learning process, and she's been particularly good. And you'll notice some videos coming up, some new videos that will be coming up featuring Kelly. So we're very proud of her, and we're glad she's on the team.
Well, and welcome, Kelly, and happy birthday. Kelly celebrated her birthday
thank you.
yesterday, so if anybody wants to fill up the chat stream with a happy birthday to Kelly, make sure you blow the candles out before you put it in your text box. All right, we give people a few minutes to join us. We outline what it is that we do, and so let's get started with Disruption in 2025, Ray. We would like to go to the mailbag, right? We take questions from all over the country. What's in the mailbag, Ray? What's
Well,
our
we have
first question today? And if you have a question, put it in the chat stream. You don't have to email us. You can put it in the chat. What's the first question, Ray?
well, there's about 5 questions that do this, but here's one that really kind of grabbed me, and it's on the theme of the day. So thank you, Will S. from Nashville. Shout out to Will S. from Nashville.
Will, thank you.
The question, and it was to all of us, so awesome. The question is, they know we went to Houston. How about that? What are the most disruptive franchises you saw in Houston last week, and why? I love those double questions, and why.
And
So,
why? That's
thank
exactly.
you. Yeah, thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Let's frame up what Houston was. Franchoice, our parent organization, has a conference twice a year where we get together with all of our franchise companies. It happens in January, it happens again in July. So in January, a couple weeks ago, we went to the city of Houston. We took over a beautiful hotel property. All of our consultant base was there, coast to coast. All of our franchise companies were there. There were about 300 people in the hotel. It was like a 5-day episode of Shark Tank. From the time you got to the airport until you went back home, we just talked franchising for 5 days, top to bottom. And so we have breakout sessions. And when the consultants come out of the breakout sessions with the franchise companies, you can tell what the disruptors are because there's a buzz in the hallway. And so that's what we're going to talk today. Who wants to start? Ray, do you want me to start? Kelly, do you want to start? Round robin here. Who wants to jump in? Ray, you want
Yeah, I'm jumping, Ray. I'm
You're
going to jump
jumping?
right ahead of you. Thank you
Oh,
guys so much, first of all, for the very kind introduction. I appreciate that very much. Very lucky to be a part of the Hire Your Best Boss team. But I agree with everything that Terry said. The Houston conference was incredible. We look forward to those weeks every single time. But what I really wanted to talk through were 2 different brands. And typically we don't talk through a lot of the brand names and things, but the 2 brands that I wanted to spotlight are actually from the same parent company, and they're called Hello Sugar and Go Glow. And what I loved about
Sugar and Go Glow. This is the
and Go
one
Glow.
time of year, well, actually 2, January and July, where we name names. Okay. We don't do it any other time of year. So 2 of the names out of the beauty category, Hello Sugar and Go Glow. Tell me about Hello
Yep.
Sugar.
Before you go, let me stop real quick. The reason we don't always just give out names because people ask us all the time. And the reason is sometimes people give themselves research projects and they start death scrolling 10 hours, 12 hours on a company where there is a better way. There's a more efficient way. With that being said, this is the one time, sometimes you just want to name names. So that's why we do it. So I just wanted to remind the people who have been on before.
And for anybody that's in here, if you want to save yourself those 10 plus hours of getting down a rabbit hole, you can reach out directly, like Terry said, to the Hire Your Best Boss team. And we're happy to talk through all the ins and outs of things. We're going to give a high level overview today. So yes, I'm touching on the personal care and beauty category. Not just because I'm a female. There are a lot of wonderful, wonderful male owners that enter into this space. But what I love about them much more, like the products are amazing. I actually have gone to both of these places and been a consumer, so I can tell you all about that experience. But the thing that they're doing that I don't feel any other concept is hitting on is they've introduced what they call as a suite model. I'm going to explain this. So, oftentimes when a candidate gets into an investigation with a brick and mortar concept, it just is a longer timeline. You have to find a lease, you have to probably do build outs and tenant improvements. And so it's just a longer ramp. So for people that come to Ray, Terry, and myself and are like, listen, I've exited corporate America, I'm looking for something that I can ramp quickly. Both of these concepts have a 90-day ramp from the day you sign, because what they do is while you're building out that larger flagship location, this concept allows you to find a suite. So think like Salons by JC or any of those rental facilities where you can come in as an esthetician and rent a 500 square foot space. And what that does is it allows the franchise owner to start training their staff, start raising brand awareness. You can have some marketing campaigns go out, and you can also start selling memberships. So the hope is a franchise owner can reach those revenue streams a little bit earlier. And then when they transition to that larger flagship model, they've jumped so many hurdles already. They already have a trained staff of estheticians. They already have brand awareness with people talking about it, and obviously those memberships in place. So that's where I'll start. If you guys have any other questions, let me know.
No, tell us about Hello Sugar.
So at Hello Sugar, it is a waxing and hair removal, but they also just introduced laser. They have an incredible founder. One of the other things we love about our conferences is that a lot of the founders are there and you get to meet with them afterwards in the hallways and ask questions. So I pulled him aside and was asking where he sees the long term going, and he is the epitome of an industry disruptor. He's young, he's using AI. The great part about Hello Sugar is it's an exceptionally lean staffing model. They use self check-in, they're using automations. So for somebody that's looking to have a little bit of that lighter touch management style, it fits really well. But the best part is with hair removal, I don't know how many people on here are consumers of that. It's a membership based model, and you tend to have exceptionally high retention. So when people find someone that they know and they trust, it's kind of like a hairstylist. They go to that person again and again and again. So very turnkey ownership model, very flexible ownership options. And again, like I mentioned, they've sped up that ramping open speed to market. So 90 days is when you'd have your doors open.
All right, so that's Hello Sugar. What's the available management model if a person becomes a franchisee, owner, operator, manage the manager, investor?
Great.
What's that look like?
I would say anybody that's getting into doing franchising should know that there's that heavy lift at the very beginning, right? So even if I were to say it's an executive model, which is where I do feel the concept falls once it's open and operational, you should always bank on, like, you're going to find that sweet model and you're going to get open. So it is a manage the manager. You're going to have that key employee. The owner does not need to be in there doing the day-to-day once it's open. So I would say it falls somewhere between the executive and maybe even possibly investor. If you end up doing multiple locations, for anybody on the call that looks to be an empire builder, you could definitely have one main key employee running multiple locations once you're open.
If you'd like to drill down on any of those management models and understand how you fit into that, all three of us are happy to book a Q&A call and go through that one-on-one. We'll go through the owner, operator, the manager, and the investor, okay? And you can understand your perspective on how you investigate that franchise moving forward based on the management model. All right, GoGlow.
Yes, so GoGlow is... Yeah, and I've been there. I have an actual membership to GoGlow. So I'm not trying to say that I have preferential treatment there, but I really love the model. So it is a spray tan concept, but what they've done, it's for people that really want to look for holistic and healthy alternatives. My favorite things, if you do check their website, it's all white everywhere. And for anybody that's ever done a spray tan, you know that there's like this orange residue, but they have the founder, Mel, is a genius with product, and she's developed her own proprietary products, they have retail as well, but they have a genius labor model. So exceptionally strong earning potential because it's on tips. So you can keep the cost of your labor really low with a Go Glow, and then they get tipped on top of that. The last time I was down there, again, as a consumer, I asked the woman that was working there, I was like, how long have you been here? She goes, oh, for 4 years. It's the most flexible job for me. I absolutely love it. So like they have, again, very high staff retention. It's a small footprint. And they also do what they call that quick pop-up launch, where they allow within 90 days of signing that suite model where you can start getting people in and creating buzz. So,
Right. So low labor model, I assume. Okay. Once
low
again,
labor.
different management models depending on where you are, how you want to start in your local area. Okay.
So what they look for a lot with their candidates are people that are community builders. So for both of these models, you might not be in there running the day to day. You might not be the esthetician or the person applying a spray tan, but they want those people that want to empower their community, that want to spread awareness. Early adopters as well. So these are newer to the market, which means that there's wide open territory, which is always wonderful to know. And they do like, I mean, you do want to have somewhat of a passion for health and beauty. So for anybody that understands that industry, you might not be a direct consumer to one of these concepts, but you want to have a little bit of a passion for that industry.
Not bleeding edge, but certainly disruption to that old tanning bed tanning model, right?
It's funny that you mentioned that, Terry, because I do have candidates in Florida that latched on to this because of anti-aging is a really big concept at the moment, and lots of people are trying to reverse sun effects. And so I was surprised to hear, like, in those warmer climates where you just assume everybody's out and about in the sun, spray tans are skyrocketing because people want healthy alternatives that will keep that anti-aging process. So
Fantastic. Two great disruption models out of the personal and beauty space. Thank you, Kelly.
welcome.
Ray, you want to go next or do you want me to jump in? Your choice.
I'm going to go next here. Thank you for offering me that. Kelly, great job. Thank you very much. Everybody here knows why we picked you. So I want to talk about the businesses I think are going to really disrupt and rock, but sometimes in 25, but sometimes there's something that people don't realize is that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a brand new business. I mean, sometimes you think emerging, that's what people think, disrupting, emerging. Sometimes there's some steady eddies out there that are really good businesses that can still do it. And I picked two that are very young. One is 20 years old and one is 40 years old. And I think they both are going to disrupt the industry. But before I do that, I want to take a step back. We talk about people who know us here. We talk about three big buckets, right? The owner operator bucket, working president. We talk about the executive, that's the manager run bucket, right? It's run by a manager. Usually you can talk about some scale there. And then sometimes we talk the investor bucket, right? Less time, more money, generally speaking. We talk about that a lot. Yesterday, I was talking to a brilliant franchise person, Eric M. in Omaha, shout out. And we were talking about the manager model. And he had an analogy, and it made me think right when you were talking, Kelly, it reminded me of the story. He called it the nanny. And I was like, the nanny? Tell me about that, Eric. And he goes, it's like a nanny. He goes, you're still the parent. If you have a nanny looking after your kids, you're still the parent. If the nanny goes on a party binge and goes away, nanny palooza, you're still the parent. You're in charge. You jump in, you'd spend more time until you got another nanny or until you solved it. I thought it was brilliant because the idea is to have the nanny really help and facilitate, make it better, but it doesn't replace you as the parent, you as the owner. You can be a great owner and maybe not spend all the time in the world and still be a great owner, quality of time and things like that. But there's sometimes, and we all know this as parents in this room, where you have to jump in and do a little more. So anyway, that it just struck me, and I thought we needed to shout that out. So
Thanks,
one other thing, for all those people celebrating the Lunar New Year, the year of the snake, shout out to these folks. I am a snake. All right, so the businesses that I picked as big disruptors that I saw in Houston, I was like, wow, they rocked my world. Were kids businesses, right? People spend money on
Great
beauty
category.
businesses, health and wellness. They spend money on dirty micro businesses, and they spend money on their kids, right? We spend money on our kids, generally speaking. Why? Why are they going to disrupt us? And, two things jump to mind, right? Traditionally, kids' businesses, very recession resistant, traditionally, right? It's a very good quality to have. Second, the market's not small. It's a big market. Raising tide raises all the boats. So and these companies just jumped out. So concept one that just jumped out at me, and see, I'm not even going to tell you the name yet. I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'm going to tell you the name. First concept, 40-year-old company, and it's still disrupting. Love that. Hundreds of franchise partners that are open. Why does that matter? You can validate. You can talk to them. They've been through it, and probably more than just 6 months of it. That's cool, right? To me, that's sexy. Some are run very well by owner operators. Great. Some are run by managers. Great. And it's been going on for long enough that you can validate. Are you getting my drift of what I'm talking? You can validate it.
We're picking up on what you're laying down, Ray.
Low investment, all things being equal, right? Low investment, low employee count. Great, right? High demand, strong marketing, purpose driven. Boom, boom, boom. Top-notch franchisor with great support. How do you know? You go ask them, you validate, and then you talk to franchisees and say, how are they at this? What was that like? You can actually go through and see it. You can validate people who have been doing it a couple years, who've been doing it 20 years. So that's good. So that's the company that got me excited. When I went through all my notes, I was like, wow. And then I'm like, but it's a company I've known forever. British Swim School. That's the name of the company. So that's concept number one. And
Wait,
obviously,
Ray, before you jump to the next one, can you tell us one of their big differentiators? Like a swim school, when you say low cost of entry, that a lot of people on the call might be like, well, how is that possible? So what do you mean?
Do I have to dig dirt? Do I need to build a pool?
Yeah.
No, they have national relationships, and basically what they do is they're utilizing times at existing pools that are underutilized. So it
Okay.
makes
Yeah.
the other people money. It saves you from having to build a pool. Now, you may get really, really successful and say, hey, I want to own a pool too, but do that from a position of strength. Do that, not, hey, I'm going to build it and hope they come. Do it after you've got so many. In a way, it's similar, honestly, Kelly, to the Go-Go or the Hello Sugar. Both their strategies of build it, get your base, and then build it out. Like, be smart. Walk before you run. Crawl before you walk.
So I'm going to go to community centers. I'm going to go to hotels. I'm going to go to places with in-ground pools that are already there and make a deal.
Yeah, and they have relationships, so it makes it easier to go in and make a deal, Terry. Even fitness facilities, a lot of fitness places are busy, but they're busy at different day parts.
Yeah. Well, the other part is too, is they had it at one of the clubs that I used to work at in Chicago, and everybody, like candidates always are like, I don't know, it's competition. Like, I don't think Lifetime's going to let me in or Equinox is not. But what you're doing is, like Ray mentioned earlier, it's a win-win because those are unstaffed times that facility doesn't want to have to pay their employees to offer a service. So you're coming in and paying them a rent and then also supplying an extra service to the members that are already existing. So it is honestly a win-win for both.
Great call out on that disruption, Ray. What's your second company?
All right. The second concept is a children's fitness and enrichment business. And this is the young one that's only 20 years old. And they have 125 open partners who are open and facilities are open. You do need a facility. So you will grab some space and you'll have to develop it. Over the years, they've really fine-tuned it, really, and they've gotten the sweet spot on the amount of space, and they'll work with you on the real estate. What I like about it, before I tell you the name, multiple revenue streams, including a membership model. That's important, and when you're validating and you're talking, you need to take a look at that. Character development. It's not just the fitness. They're developing character. They're using this to enrich lives and to teach life lessons. So it's something you can get behind, especially if you're doing children's businesses. You like to have a purpose, right? It get a bigger meaning. You can make money and do good all at the same time. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. I mean, they train the physical training is fitness and skill development focus. Gets those kids into the zone. If you had kids like mine when they're growing up, the more you can keep them busy, the better it is. So that's a good thing. The people I see who do really well here are community oriented. I didn't say salesy. They're not, but they're community. They're into their community. They care about their community. They want it to be better. Um, and Tim Tebow is one of the owners. And how cool is that? It's just kind of cool, right? Like,
That's
you
pretty
know,
cool. I like,
yeah, he's, lots of good things there. So, name of the company, D1 Training. There you go.
D1 training. I
Love
like
it.
that too. Real disruptor in that
Agreed.
category. Thank you for calling that out, Ray. If you are out there and you would like to have a one-on-one with Ray and learn more about British Swim School or D1 training, we're going to have those links. You can go to hireyourbestboss.com, catch our calendars there. You can hit us on our LinkedIn pages. Please schedule that conversation and, ask us about that individually. And, we've got a couple hundred franchise companies in our portfolio. So we're not just going to talk about these two companies. We're going to develop a strategy for you and tailor fit our offerings, what we come back to you with, to what your strategy is for replacing income, for creating wealth, for having more time to watch your kids grow up. This is part of what we do. So,
Mm.
Ray, you know what I like.
Oh, I know what you like, Tara.
Yeah, I like dirty businesses. I think that the government did us a tremendous favor during the pandemic when they said essential businesses could stay open, right? That label has carried through. Before the pandemic, we would get a lot of calls where people wanted to talk about the hot new franchise and the sexy new franchise. And after the pandemic, we started seeing those calls change, and people would call us and say, do you have an essential business? Boy, do we have an essential business. We have a whole category of that. And one of the categories I like to call out is the disaster restoration category. Kelly, have you ever had pipes break? Have you ever had an oven fire? Have you ever had to
Yep.
pick up the phone and call your insurance agent and say, man, am I glad I paid my premium because now I need somebody, right?
100%. Yes.
100%. Yeah. So a lot of people are familiar with the disaster restoration companies, right? They'll come in, they suck up the water out of your basement. They'll put the big air purifiers and the air scanners, if you have smoke damage to your home. But what a lot of people don't know about is there is a real disruptor in that category that does content restoration. What's content restoration? Ray, any guess about how many average items an American has in their home? I
You
was
know,
blown
I
away when I heard this number.
I heard it, and I can't remember what I remember was that something like 30% of claims are just due to the contents, which just
Jeez.
blew my mind. But
Just
I don't remember the amount.
300,000. If you took your house and turned it upside down, right? I had a little house here. If you turned it upside down and shook it out, okay, 300,000 things would fall out. And water, mold, fire are going to damage those things. And so a company comes in after the water, after the smoke, and packs out those contents, takes them to a warehouse. That's what the industry lingo is called. That's a pack out. Okay. And
Yep.
that's a portion of the industry that is incredibly attractive. Okay. Because this is a category not tied to discretionary spending. When you need this business, you need this business, right? Content restoration. Okay. You're going to need some real estate for this, but not prime A real estate, away from the city center, near an interstate. Okay. It's a low labor model. You don't have a lot of
Mm.
employees. Okay. And it works with the insurance carriers. and you put those contents into a storage facility and clean them over time. So the beauty of that model is the insurance companies pay for that warehousing. They pay for the cleaning, they pay for the warehousing. And so there's a recurring revenue to this business model. Okay. Love it, love it, love it. And the disaster restoration companies need this service. So they become your referrals, they become your target. You can go to other companies that do the disaster restoration service and work directly with them. Now, sometimes your phone, if you have a disaster restoration company, your phone's going to ring at 3 a.m., right? Because there was a disaster there. But when you're in contents restoration, that business can wait. So it's a daytime,
Mhm.
Monday, Friday, daylight hours, 8 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever. Okay. It doesn't have that emergency component that some of the other businesses have to that. Okay. And
Terry, real quick, how is that managed though? Are you looking at owner operator? Are you looking at like that executive? Like what kind of candidate are they looking for?
yeah, like the other models, Kelly, you would be preferred to start as an owner operator and learn all the parts of the business. But then you grow into a manager. And while you're starting that business, you look for somebody that you know, like, and trust, that
Mm.
really likes the business, can be with you long term. And yes, it can be manager run. And there's just a feel good component to this business. When you go back to somebody's home and you have their scrapbooks and you have their family pictures and you have the teddy bear that they took out of the house that was soaked with dirty water, and that teddy bear's been restored, you light up that household. And so when you go back and the contents of a damaged household have been restored, it's just there's a component to that that a lot of other businesses just don't have. So oh, Ray, do you want me to name names on this, or should I just keep rolling along here? You
This is the one time you name names.
1-800 Packouts. 1-800 Packouts, Packoutz, okay, is the way it's spelled and the way that you can find it. If you'd like to talk to us about it, please schedule a time. And Ray, do I have time? What are we doing on time here? I think I've got time for one
We
more.
got time.
You've got time.
Yeah.
Okay. Hoses.
Mhm.
I
I
like
love
hoses.
hoses. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy. Another dirty bit. This is an essential service. So I want you to think about the construction industry. I want you to think about the manufacturing industry. Two of the U.S. largest industries we have, they all run on equipment, and that equipment has hoses, and those hoses deteriorate over time. I'm not talking about garden hoses here. I'm talking about really large hoses on really large pieces of machinery. When a hose breaks, the machinery goes down and the clock starts because you are blowing through money, right? When you're on a construction site and you have a big piece of equipment that goes down, Pertec brings you that hose, right? They have a 1 hour guarantee. They will get that hose to you quickly, which is exactly what the construction company or the manufacturing facility wants. Okay. Love, love, love this business model because it's an essential product. It's a critical service. And they've been in business since 1980. They have 150 franchisees around the country. When you want to talk to somebody and do validation, validation is where we teach you how to pick up the phone and talk to people in the top 20%, talk to people in the middle 60%, talk to people in the bottom 20% of a franchise system so that you can identify what success looks like. You can identify what lifestyle component looks like. You can identify what failure looks like. There are 150 franchisees out there in this particular franchise company that you can talk to. Pertec, Pirtek, is just a wonderful opportunity. I call it blue collar gold. So if you want to look at
Love
dirty
that.
businesses, hey, I'm your guy. Okay. But all of us can talk about all of these businesses. And as I said, we've got a couple hundred franchise companies that we can talk about. So we're never going to send you a list, 200 companies. We're going to say, how do you want to live? How do you want to work? How do you want to play? What does your life look like? You tell us that. We'll find businesses that match that. And then we'll teach you how to do an investigation on those categories. Hey, Ray,
Yes, sir.
anybody put any questions in the chat for us today?
You know, Tara, I've gotten lots of thanks. Mostly they're happy birthdays, by the way. To Kelly. So way to go, Kelly.
Yeah, I know, right?
Uh, I don't have any questions right now.
I see
So
some money. Yeah, go
I
ahead,
have
Kelly.
one that came directly to me, and
Okay,
so
go
shout
ahead.
out to you guys. So one of them was asking about more of like that ramp time. So if they wanted to leave their job and if they wanted to exit corporate America, what do we recommend for that? Because we talked about ramp time with those Hello Sugar and Go Glows, but there's also, like you mentioned, Terry, with yours that were non-brick and mortar. What's that typical timeline look like? And can we just give parameters around how we have that conversation with our candidates when they want to know how quickly can I ramp? A lot of that obviously is dependent on what kind of owner they are. All owners are created differently, but parameters around that and what you guys would recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, I'll take the first half of this. You can catch the second half. If this is an owner operator, home-based service model, these businesses ramp very, very quickly. Okay. Once you go to training and graduate training, you can be in business the following Monday. So if
Mm,
you need a business that starts quickly, if you need a business that generates income quickly, that B2B owner operator home-based model, whew, that's sensational, right?
perfect.
If you have a little bit longer time and you're thinking about a retail storefront, then it's a longer ramp. You want to keep your job and probably ease into that. But I'm hearing 9 months, 12 months, 15, 18 for the real estate search, the lease negotiation, the interior and exterior build out, and then the grand opening package. So you need a longer runway, different set of financials. This is what we cover when we're handling developing ideas for you in your strategy. Okay, what does that timeline look like? Does it need to be quick? Do you have a little longer runway? What did I
Perfect.
forget, Ray?
I don't think you forgot anything. Reality is this is very individual. Like I hate saying it depends, but it depends. So,
It really
uh,
does.
and there's three factors to really take a look at. You know, how good is the franchise system, their standard operating procedures? That's really important. Second thing that's really important is how good are you? Like how well do your skills mesh, and are you continuing to improve those skills? That matters. And then the third thing is if you got to hire the right people. I didn't say hire the most expensive people. Sometimes that's the case, but the right people. Get the right person for the right job. But generally speaking, service base, you can be faster. You know, retail is going to be longer. If you got to build something out, you got to go find it. You got to get it ready, and then you got to launch it. That takes longer. Service is faster, right? Like general thing. So if you just need general, but what we're going to do, part of the hire your best boss process is to determine that for you, because that's what's really important. Averages are nice if you're completely average. You know, who's completely average? You need to figure out what it's going to be for you in particular businesses. And one of our checklist items is to figure that out exactly. Like, what do you expect it to be? You know, based on not opinion, but on facts from different people who've done it. And if there's not enough facts, then you're going to have to take whatever you can find out, extrapolate, and add a little bit, right? The fudge factor.
Mm,
So
Absolutely. We want to thank
love that.
everybody that's been with us through this. It's about time for us to wrap up. I've been looking at everybody who's joined us today. Lots of folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have videos on hireyourbestboss.com. The management structure, the owner operator, the manager, the investor is there on a video called The Three Layers of Possibility. When you get to the home page, you're going to see what does it cost? Our number one question that we get, what does it cost? Well, there are three known costs to starting a franchise, but there are 4 hidden costs, okay? And we teach you how to find those costs that may not be obvious. So when you start to enter into the thought process that I'm going to become a business owner, I like this. We want you to turn over every stone so you know exactly what's out in front of you. Those videos will help you. And then we've got our roadmap series, soup to nuts, what a franchise investigation looks like, done the Fran choice, done the hire your best boss, informed decision process way. All right, wrap up and say, Kelly, thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
What a
Thank you
pleasure to
guys so
have
much
you.
for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And what Terry just said on everyone listening too is the franchise and hire your best boss way might not be the fastest. It's involved and you guys should prepare for putting enough time into that investigation to make sure you're making an informed decision. So if you have questions on what that timeline looks like, obviously, like we've mentioned in the chat, hop over to hireyourbestboss.com. We all three would love to have conversations with you. And again, Ray and Terry, thank you so much for having me today.
absolutely. You want to say goodbye, Ray?
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. All right, that's a wrap.